A tree grows or it dies. It doesn't stay the same, and neither do we. If you improve nothing today, you've silently agreed to remain as you are. But life doesn't reward what remains the same. It rewards what evolves, expands, refines. And don't wait for motivation. It's unreliable. You must cultivate a mindset that doesn't need sunshine to grow it. Grows in the dark, under pressure, in silence. So let's talk about 10 powerful areas you must improve every single day. Not once in a while, not when you feel like it, but daily. Because success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. Let's begin. Number 1, improve your mindset daily. If you want to change your life, you've got to begin with your philosophy. Because everything flows downstream from that, your attitude, your decisions, your habits, and ultimately your wealth. The first thing to improve every day is your mindset. Not just once a year, not when you feel like it, every day. Because your thoughts, whether you realize it or not, are painting the picture of your future. Most people walk around with a mental blueprint built by fear, doubt, and mediocrity, and then wonder why their life looks like a house they never wanted to build. Now, I used to think mindset was something you were born with, that some people just had it and some didn't. But that's not true. Mindset is built just like a muscle. And the great thing is you can train it, you can feed it, you can stretch it, and you can decide what kind of beliefs take root there. The problem is, most people never take inventory of their beliefs. They carry around these silent limitations. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lucky. That's just not for people like me. Let me tell you something. Those thoughts are not facts. They're weeds. And if you don't pull the weeds, they'll choke the garden. I remember a man I worked with in my early days. Bright, capable, full of potential, but always broke. Why? Because every time opportunity showed up, his mindset shut the door. Too risky, he'd say. I don't think I can do that. And eventually the opportunity stopped knocking. Not because he lacked talent, but because he lacked belief. And belief, my friend, is a decision you make every morning. You've got to wake up and choose to think like someone who's building wealth, someone who sees possibility instead of pain, progress instead of problems. You don't wait for results to feel that way. You feel that way to get results. So how do you improve your mindset? You expose it to better voices. Read the books. Listen to the thinkers. Journal your fears so you can recognize them. Speak words of power, not pity. Because the way you talk to yourself is either building a bridge or digging a ditch. Guard your mind like a vault, because that's where your future wealth is being stored, day by day, thought by thought. And if you don't run your mind, someone else will guarantee. Number 2, improve your discipline. Discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. It's what turns good intentions into results. Without it, all the dreams, all the goals, all the motivation in the world won't move you an inch. You can read every book on wealth, attend every seminar on success, but if you can't get yourself to follow through, none of it matters. So the second thing you've got to improve every day is your discipline. Not when it's convenient, not when you feel inspired, but every day, even when no one's watching, and especially when it's hard. Now, don't think of discipline as punishment. Discipline isn't what you do to yourself, it's what you do for yourself. It's the highest form of self-respect. When you tell yourself you're going to get up early, or save money, or exercise, and then you actually do it, you start to trust yourself. And success becomes possible when you start to believe that your word means something even to you. That's power. When I first started working on myself, I wasn't the most disciplined man. I'd say, tomorrow I'll get to it. But then I realized tomorrow has no power. Only today does. So I started small. I began by keeping one promise a day to myself. One. Sometimes it was getting out of bed the first time the alarm rang. Sometimes it was writing a paragraph or reading a chapter. But every day I did it. And slowly I built the muscle. Discipline is like lifting weights. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the more it starts to shape your destiny. You've got to develop habits that support your goals, not sabotage them. If you want wealth, act like someone who values their time, If you want health, act like someone who respects their body. And if you want success, act like someone who shows up day after day, even when they don't feel like it. Because success is reserved for the disciplined. Always has been, always will be. Number 3, improve your knowledge. Knowledge is the seed of change. If you want to improve your life, start by improving what you know. Because what you know determines how you think, and how you think determines how you act, and action is what builds a life. Now, it's tempting to believe that once we finish school, the learning is over. But let me tell you something. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. So the third thing you've got to improve every day is your knowledge. And you've got to do it with intention. When I was a young man, I wasn't doing well. I was behind on my bills, behind on my goals, and I thought maybe I just needed better luck. But then someone handed me a book, and everything began to shift. That book wasn't magic, but it opened a door. And that's what knowledge does. It gives you options where there once were none. It introduces you to new ways of thinking. It raises your awareness. And the moment your awareness goes up, so do your standards. You don't need to read a whole book every day, but you do need to read a few pages. You do need to listen to something that challenges your current thinking. You do need to expose yourself to people who are ahead of you in mindset, in business, in life. Because here's the truth. What you don't know is already hurting you. It's keeping you poor, it's keeping you uncertain, and it's keeping you stuck. But the good news is you can change that. All it takes is a little curiosity and a daily commitment to feed your mind. When I started learning about money, I found out I was doing everything wrong. I was spending too much, saving too little, and investing in things that didn't grow. But instead of getting discouraged, I got educated. I studied wealth. I studied people who had it. I found out what they did and how they thought. And as I applied what I learned, my circumstances changed. Because when you know better, you can do better. The key is consistency. Learning isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. So dedicate time every day, even if it's just 30 minutes, to study something that improves your understanding of yourself, your business, your relationships, or your future. Knowledge is leverage. And the more of it you have, the less dependent you are on chance. The ones who grow rich in life are the ones who never stop learning. Number 4, improve your physical health. Your body is the vessel that carries out your dreams. You can have the biggest vision, the clearest goals, and the most brilliant ideas, but if your body fails you, it all falls apart. So if you're going to show up for life, if you're going to build wealth, lead a team, raise a family, or serve a purpose, you must improve your physical health daily. Not once in a while. Not when the doctor says so. Every single day. Now, I wasn't always the best at this. In my younger years, I worked long hours and thought hustle was all that mattered. I believed energy was endless and the body would always cooperate. But I soon found out that fatigue steals opportunity. Poor health dims the mind. Lack of discipline in the kitchen shows up at the bank. And I realized that if I didn't start treating my health like a serious asset, everything else I was building could collapse beneath me. Wealth requires energy sharpness, stamina, presence. And those things aren't just emotional or mental, they're physical. I began walking more, eating better, sleeping with purpose instead of collapse. I learned the discipline in my health gave me power in other areas. When you control what you eat, you start controlling what you say. When you discipline your body, you discipline your money. When you wake up early and move your body, you enter your day with confidence, not hesitation. Start simple. You don't have to run marathons, but you've got to move. The body was made for motion. You don't need a perfect diet, but you do need intention. Eat for fuel, not just for taste. And rest, don't ignore it. Some people lose decades of life chasing years of income. That's not wise. You want to be healthy enough to enjoy what you build. And there's another layer to this. When you feel good physically, you think better. Clarity improves, creativity flows, confidence rises. Why? Because energy transfers. A strong body leads to a strong voice. A sharp mind leads to sharper decisions. The rich don't neglect their bodies. They honor them because they understand health is the foundation of performance. So take care of the machine, improve it daily. Treat your body like the precious tool it is. You only get one, there are no trade-ins. And if you'll take care of it, it'll take care of you on the road to everything you want in life. Number 5, improve your emotional control. Emotions are powerful. They can either be the wind in your sails or the storm that sinks your ship. And I learned early on that success isn't just about how smart you are or how skilled you are. It's also about how well you can master your emotions. Improve your emotional control daily, because wealth, relationships, and opportunity are all built and destroyed by how you respond when things don't go your way. Let me tell you, I've watched brilliant people ruin their chances because they let anger speak louder than wisdom. I've seen promising entrepreneurs fold under pressure because they reacted impulsively instead of responding thoughtfully. And I've seen marriages, partnerships, and fortunes crumble no from a lack of intelligence, but from a lack of emotional control. So I made it a goal to work on this daily, because you don't get to choose what happens every day, but you do get to choose how you respond to it. You see, life will test you. A deal will fall through. Someone will disappoint you. Plans won't go the way you hoped. And that's when emotional maturity steps in. Do you explode or do you pause? Do you make a rash decision or do you step back and think? Every moment is a choice, and the person who can master their emotional response wins long term. That's the person people want to work with. That's the person who can lead a team. That's the person who can manage wealth without fear or greed clouding their judgment. Now, improving emotional control doesn't mean you ignore how you feel. It means you manage it. You pause. You reflect. You ask, what is the wisest action right now? Not just the easiest. One of the best things I ever practiced was counting to 10 before responding in a tense situation. Doesn't sound like much, but that 10 seconds has saved relationships, preserved deals, and maintained my character when it mattered most. Another key is reflection. At the end of the day, I'd ask myself, where did I handle things well? Where did I let emotions run the show? That kind of awareness is what sharpens your emotional intelligence. It's not about being perfect, it's about improving. Bit by bit, day by day, choosing wisdom over impulse, discipline over drama. People who master their emotions build trust. And trust is currency in every part of life, business, family, friendships. The more stable you become internally, the more powerful your influence becomes externally. So improve your emotional control every day, not just for others, but for yourself. Because if you can't lead your own emotions, you'll never lead your life. Number 6, improve your communication. There was a time in my life when I didn't understand the true power of communication. I thought if I had the knowledge, if I had the plan, if I had the work ethic, that would be enough. But I soon discovered something. If you can't express what's inside you with clarity, with impact, and with purpose, much of your potential remains trapped. Improve your communication every single day, because it is the bridge between your ideas and your influence. It's how you open doors, how you build relationships, and how you lead others to follow a vision that once lived only in your mind. I remember sitting across the table from a man who could have changed my life. I had the ideas, I had the drive, but I fumbled my words. I wasn't clear. I didn't connect. He shook my hand, smiled politely, and walked away. That moment burned into my memory. I didn't get bitter, I got busy. I decided that from that day forward, I would practice, refine, and sharpen how I spoke, how I listened, and how I made people feel when I communicated. Communication is not just talking, it's understanding, it's being able to take what's complicated and say it simply. It's about speaking in a way that moves people emotionally, not just logically. It's also about listening with intention, not just waiting to talk, but hearing what isn't being said between the lines. The rich understand this. They don't talk more, they talk better. They don't dominate conversations, they direct them skillfully. They don't just sell products, they sell belief, they sell vision, they sell possibility. That comes from mastering communication. I used to practice my speeches in front of a mirror. Not because I wanted to perform, but because I wanted to connect. I wanted to eliminate the fluff, the filler, and the fear. I wanted to speak with conviction. And when I wasn't speaking, I was learning to listen to employees, to partners, to my audience. Listening gave me insight. Speaking gave me reach. Together they built my influence. Think of communication as a tool that shapes your reality. You can either use it to inspire or to confuse. You can use it to lift others or tear them down. Improve your ability to express ideas, feelings, and values clearly and effectively, and watch your influence rise. Improve your communication every day, because your words have the power to build bridges or burn them. Choose wisely, speak intentionally, and never stop getting better at it. Number 7, improve your financial literacy. I used to think that all I needed to solve my problems was more money, more income, more cash, more zeros in the bank account. But then I learned a sobering truth: wealth doesn't come from how much you make. It comes from how well you manage what you have. I've seen people earn small amounts and become wealthy, and I've seen others earn fortunes and end up broke. The difference? Financial literacy. Improve it every single day. You've got to study money like you would study any skill that can change your life, because that's exactly what it is, a skill. You don't need a degree in finance, but you do need understanding. You need to know where your money's going. You need to track it, direct it, assign it a purpose before it disappears. If your money doesn't have a job, it will find foolish work to do. That's how people who earn well still live paycheck to paycheck, because they let money master them instead of mastering money. I remember the first time I sat down and truly made a budget, not just wrote down numbers, but gave my dollars direction. That was the day I stopped wondering where my money went and started telling it where to go. I began learning the value of saving, of investing, of delaying gratification so I could enjoy greater freedom later. I started studying people who were free, not just rich, but truly free, and I noticed they all had one thing in common. They understood the game of money, they respected it, studied it, and used it as a tool. Money is a terrible master, but a wonderful servant, and the only way to keep it a servant is to become wise in its handling. Read books on personal finance, listen to people who've done well with their money over time. Understand the power of compound interest, the importance of keeping your expenses low, and the art of putting your money into things that grow. Learn to ask the question before every purchase: does this move me toward wealth or away from it? Financial literacy isn't just about numbers, it's about mindset. It's the ability to think long-term while everyone else is thinking only about the weekend. It's about having control rather than being controlled. If you want to become wealthy, start by becoming financially literate. Learn how to make money, keep it, grow it, and protect it. Get wise about money, and money will begin to work for you instead of slipping through your fingers. Number 8, improve your time management. If there's one asset we all get equally rich or poor, wise or foolish, it's time. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But it's not how much time you have. It's what you do with it that makes all the difference. Time is more valuable than money. You can lose money and make it back, but once time is gone, it's gone forever. That's why you must learn to manage your time with the same intensity and care as a wealthy person manages their investments. Because in truth, your time is your first investment, your most powerful form of capital. Early in my life, I was busy with the wrong things. I mistook movement for progress. And let me tell you, just because you're active doesn't mean you're effective. I'd spend days chasing things that yielded nothing in return. Until one day I sat down and asked myself a hard question: am I doing what matters most? That's when everything changed. I began to guard my time. I started prioritizing. I became serious about scheduling. And most importantly, I started eliminating. See, the key isn't to do more 8s, to do what matters, and to do it without distraction. Every wealthy person I've met has this one thing in common: they treat their time like treasure. They schedule thinking time, create space for learning, and allocate hours for action. They know that saying yes to one thing means saying no to 1,000 others. And so they learn to say no often and without guilt. If you're constantly distracted, pulled by social media, answering every call, reacting to every notification, you're giving away your treasure bit by bit. The enemy of wealth isn't always laziness. Sometimes it's distraction. And every minute you waste on low-value activity is a minute you're not investing in your dreams, your health, your family, or your future. You must master the art of prioritization. Ask yourself daily, what's the one thing I can do today that moves me closer to my goals? Then guard that time. Build your day around your priorities, not your distractions. Group your tasks, protect your mornings, reflect in the evenings. Keep a calendar, not just to keep appointments, but to design a life. And remember this, you don't manage time, you manage yourself within time. The clock ticks for everyone, but how you show up in each hour, how you focus, and what you execute, that's what separates those who merely spend time from those who invest it wisely and see it multiply. Number 9, improve your relationships. Nothing influences your direction in life more quietly, more powerfully than the people you allow into your inner circle. The books you read and the people you associate with will determine where you'll be 5 years from now. That's why improving your relationships isn't optional, it's essential. If you're serious about success, you've got to be serious about who you spend your time with. Because relationships either nourish your growth or quietly drain your potential. There is no neutral ground. I remember a time in my life when I was surrounded by people who had no dreams, no ambition, no plans, just complaints. And the strange thing is, their energy started becoming mine. Their doubts started sounding like my own. One day I had to stop and ask myself, whose life am I building, mine or theirs? That was the day I made the decision to surround myself with people who lifted me higher, not pulled me down. You see, wealth is not just about money, it's about richness of life. And rich relationships are part of that, but they don't happen by accident. You must be intentional. Start with building trust. Trust is the currency of strong relationships. Without it, everything crumbles. Be honest, be dependable, keep your word, be the kind of person others can count on. Because success loves speed, and speed comes from trust. Then add empathy. Learn to listen. I mean, really listen. When you understand someone's perspective, when you take time to care, you earn influence. And influence opens doors money never could. People want to work with those who understand them. People buy from people they trust. And the wealthiest people I've ever met didn't just know a lot, they connected deeply. They built bridges, not walls. But don't just seek comfort in relationships, seek challenge. You need friends who stretch you, mentors who confront you, partners who demand more of you than you demand of yourself. Iron sharpens iron. So find the kind of people who make you uncomfortable in a good way, who don't let you settle, who ask you the hard questions when it's easier to hide behind excuses. That's how you grow. So take inventory. Who's in your circle? Who do you listen to, dine with, share ideas with? Are they helping you rise or keeping you small? Improve your relationships, and you improve your future. Because success isn't built in isolation. It's built in the company of giants. And the company you choose will determine how high you climb. And number 10, improve your contribution and gratitude. Let me tell you something that most people miss on the path to wealth. True abundance doesn't begin with accumulation. It begins with contribution. It begins with a spirit of gratitude. You can work every day to sharpen your mind, build your skills, strengthen your body, manage your time, and grow your wealth. But if you neglect the power of giving and the importance of thankfulness, you'll still come up short. Because success without soul is still poverty. I've seen men with $1 million in the bank who walk around like they're broke. Why? Because they never learned how to appreciate what they had. I've seen people chasing opportunities endlessly only to end up empty because they never took time to give. Gratitude and contribution, my friend, are the two forces that keep your wealth from owning you. They keep your success from turning into selfishness. They ground you. They expand you. Now, contribution isn't about waiting until you've got it all figured out or until you've got millions to give. Contribution starts right where you are with what you've got. If you've got $10, give $1. If you've got a little time, share it with someone who's hurting. If you've got knowledge, pass it along. You don't wait to be generous until you're rich. You get rich because you're generous. Giving turns on the flow of abundance. It keeps you from hoarding. It reminds you that wealth is a river, not a reservoir. When I was broke, I gave a little. When I had more, I gave more. And every time I gave with the right spirit, not out of guilt, but out of gladness, something in me changed. My mindset shifted from scarcity to plenty. I began to realize that the real joy of life doesn't come from what you keep, it comes from what you share. Every time you contribute, you strengthen your character. And in the long run, character is more valuable than cash. But contribution is only half the equation. The other half is gratitude. Gratitude is the soil where joy and abundance grow. And like anything of value, it must be practiced daily. You've got to wake up and say thank you before you say anything else. Thank you for the day. Thank you for your mind. Thank you for the chance to try again. You see, a grateful heart doesn't wait for perfect conditions. A grateful heart finds something to celebrate even in difficulty. I remember during one of my most challenging seasons, I didn't have much. But I made it a habit to write down 3 things I was thankful for each day. And I'll tell you what, it didn't change my circumstances immediately, but it changed me. It shifted my perspective. It helped me focus on what was working, not just what was lacking. And that focus gave me strength. It gave me clarity. It gave me energy to build again. Some people say, I'll be grateful when I'm successful. But that's backward. Gratitude is not the reward, it's the foundation. You get successful when you become grateful for what you already have. When you recognize the value in your present, you prepare yourself for more in the future, because life doesn't give more to those who aren't already thankful for what they've been given. Now, let me give you a practical challenge. At the end of each day, write down what you gave and what you're grateful for. What contribution did you make today? Maybe you helped a colleague. Maybe you encouraged your child. Maybe you shared an idea or donated a little. Then ask yourself, what did you appreciate today? It could be as simple as a conversation, a meal, a lesson learned. The more specific you are, the more powerful the habit becomes. This isn't just about feeling good. This is wealth building. Because when you practice gratitude, you attract opportunity. When you give, you expand your capacity to receive. And when your character deepens through contribution, people want to work with you. They trust you. They recommend you. And slowly, your influence grows. Your network grows. Your income grows. You'll also begin to notice a shift in how you define success. It's no longer just about the numbers in your account. It's about the people you've helped, the lives you've touched, the impact you've made. And let me tell you, that kind of wealth can never be taken from you. The market can crash, the economy can shake, but a life of contribution and gratitude, that's unshakable. So make it your mission. Improve your contribution. Give more of your time, your resources, your wisdom, your presence, and improve your gratitude. Start seeing everything, yes, even the challenges, as gifts to grow you. When you live like this, you don't just chase wealth, you attract it, because wealth flows to those who are already overflowing.